As you can see by this video, it's a little rough. His face is crazy. The spaghetti kind of forms a massive heap. But then with these new tools, we can see that it's become a lot more realistic.
But then you have a question of, if there's more AI content out there, how are we going to tell what's real or not? Hey guys, now let's be real. The internet can be a pretty intense place. I hate to break it to you, it might be getting a bit more intense now too. You've probably all seen AI generated content on your feeds. Videos like Cleopatra walking around modern Egypt, or the emotional support kangaroo on a plane. Sometimes this stuff looks pretty realistic, other times less so. Now, 2 new apps have been launched to take this content to the next level. You've got Vibes from Meta and Sora from the makers of ChatGPT. So, in theory, AI videos will become easier to make for us. So does that mean we're going to see more AI slop on our feeds? And will it be harder than ever to tell what's real and what's not? That's what we're getting into in today's episode. I'm Ikra, and this is What in the World from the BBC World Service. And we have just the gal to talk us through this. Our favourite internet geek at the BBC, Jackie Wakefield. Hey.
Thank you so much for that intro. Hi.
Hi. Okay, so we're going to talk about Vibes and Sora in a bit. But first, can you break down a quick recap on what we mean by AI-generated content?
Of course. So AI-generated content is anything made with artificial intelligence, so synthetically with a machine learning algorithm. So essentially that means the computer can just learn on its own with any input that we give it. So these tools are trained on vast data sets to produce new content, which mimics human-like work.
So how much of our social media, like Instagram, at the moment is AI-generated content?
We don't know fully at this stage. We know that it is slowly increasing, and we know particularly in the US, there's more and more AI-generated content appearing on the platforms, particularly because 80% of social media content recommendations are powered by AI. We know that AI videos are actually rewarded by those AI recommend algorithms. There's been one analysis that estimated more than half of the English language posts on LinkedIn are AI generated. Not surprising to me when I look through LinkedIn, but it's hard to estimate exactly how much AI videos we're seeing on places like TikTok, Reels, Shorts at this stage. But there's lots of different slops. So there's AI slop, there's code slop, so when someone codes a website using AI badly. There's work slop, so when someone does a PowerPoint and uses AI to do it. So really it's invading every aspect of our lives, not just social media.
We're gonna look through some examples. I know you've got some, right? It's getting pretty realistic, some of this AI slop.
Definitely. So one of the examples I brought in was the iconic Will Smith eating spaghetti. So I think it's about 3 years ago when I think everyone can remember when those Mid-Journey and stuff, you could type in prompts and it would create any video for you. And someone typed in Will Smith eating spaghetti. And as you can see by this video, it's a little rough. His face is crazy. The spaghetti kind of forms a massive heap. But then with these new tools, we can see that it's become a lot more realistic. So it just goes to show how far we've come.
Yeah. I have to admit, Jackie, I fell for that one. I thought that was real.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think all of them are real. It takes me a second.
And now we've got Vibes and Sora, these 2 new apps promising or seeming to take this content to a whole new level. Just tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So Vibes is Meta's new AI video development tool. In essence, what it's doing is they use Mid-Journey, which I think we've all used before, an AI video making tool, and Black Forest to create video generating models. So they're using software that's already out there to create videos. And how they're treating it is more of like a creative tool. So Zuckerberg said that Vibes would be a feed of expressive AI generated videos from artists and creators. Whereas Sora is a little bit more different. They're kind of trying to go for a bit more of a social media actually kind of putting yourself in the content a bit more as well. So Sora looks a bit like TikTok. It's like an endless scroll, for you page, algorithmically determined what you see. So it's currently invite only, so it's quite exclusive. But it kind of encourages people like TikTok to create user-generated content. So you can actually scan yourself. So you take a video of your face, you do a bit of this, you say a few numbers, and you can put yourself in any range of scenarios.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting a bit scared.
I know, but it is kind of like, it's a bit more fun and like maybe a bit more engaging for people. And then the other thing you can do is take celebrities and other real people to create content with them, which has landed Sora in a little bit of hot water with various copyright issues. So I think SpongeBob has been arrested many, many times on the app. Mickey Mouse has been doing some naughty things as well. So they've got a bit to sort out there as well with how do they deal with these characters and celebrities doing things that they definitely wouldn't do in real life. And it looks so realistic as well.
So now we have an idea of what these apps are, how they work. Let's have a look at an example from Sora.
So this video, you can see a woman falling backwards onto a glass bridge, breaking it, and then a child falls through and a dog rescues her at the end. This is very typical of AI content that tends to do well. It's sort of got every element. The first is rage bait. People get really angry in the comments at the woman. How dare she break a bridge? What a silly decision. Then you've got sort of the fear of the child's life, what's going to happen. And then you've got a lovely resolution of an animal rescuing her, among other things. So animal videos do extremely well with the AI-generated content stuff. So this is very typical of those like viral examples that we see on these apps.
So we wanted to find out what some of our listeners think about seeing more AI-generated content on their socials. Here's Paulina.
Hi, my name is Paulina, and I'm a big fan of AI-generated videos. First of all, I'm a big fan of the TikTok, like a comedy shows, and they're based on AI characters. I think that's the right amount of brain rot after a difficult workday, which we all experience. Second of all, I really love the historical POV videos. I think as a visual learner, it brings so much vibrance to the story. For example, once you learn something through the Wikipedia or TikTok, I think TikTok brings much more depth into the story, and I love living in 2025. And I think it's actually making social media more and more engaging.
And I've also seen those POV videos where you're kind of transported to places, moments of history, right? Ancient Egypt, ancient Rome. Could we be seeing more of this stuff then, Jackie?
I think early indications show that US audiences are seeing a lot more of it. It makes sense. That's where the apps are. It also depends on, it's potentially a money-making thing. So people in the US, where you've got the creator program for TikTokers in the US, where they get paid per view on videos, I think it's roughly how it works. Yeah. They've got a real incentive to create lots of content, and AI can really help them do that.
But then you have a question of, if there's more AI content out there, how are we going to tell what's real or not?
2 or 3 years ago, I think the tips were always, look at the fingers, the ears aren't correct, they don't blink right. That doesn't always work now. I think Will Smith eating spaghetti, there are a few indicators in that video, right? So he isn't quite blinking right. The spaghetti sort of goes into his mouth a little bit too smoothly. He sort of sways around a little, which is a bit uncanny valley for someone to watch it. But when you've got simpler videos of people just looking to camera or chatting to camera, particularly when it's such a well-known figure like Will Smith, it's getting really difficult. You can't always look at the fingers. You can't always look at these indicators that we've been able to see in the past. I think my best advice and how I do it is it a likely scenario? So one thing that I think a lot of people have probably seen other videos of Jake Paul doing makeup tutorials. Is that one that you've come across?
No, not come across that one yet.
Well, Jake Paul is like...
It'll come up as soon as I've come off this.
Yeah, exactly. Now they've said it. He's like known for being very macho, and he's doing like these makeup tutorials on Sora. I think you can use a little bit of, what you know about the world to probably guess that's not the case. And there's just certain movements where it just looks not quite what we're used to, but it takes a lot more time than it used to, and there isn't really these hacks that there used to be 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, so if that world, if it's all becoming a bit more confusing and all meshed together, is there any evidence that this AI generated content is kind of turning people off social media altogether, maybe?
There has been indications that social media usage has peaked back in 2022. That could be to do with, COVID and lockdown usage, but it's continued to go into steady decline since then, which shows that people are starting to turn away from social media, particularly Gen Z. But we don't really know if this is just because of AI-generated content.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and it's one that we asked Maria about as well. So let's have a listen.
Hi, my name is Maria, and honestly, I don't like AI videos. First reason is that I prefer watching real people with real emotions and real faces. And the second one is that sometimes AI videos get in weirdly unexpected. Like you are watching the video, someone talking, and then it suddenly morphs into the wolf. Or, I don't know, their faces just melts into some robots. Also, for me, it's not art. Like, it's impressive, sure. But sometimes it just creeps me out.
Okay, so let's zoom out on all this then and kind of look at the bigger implications. We've got people like President Trump sharing a lot of these AI videos. What impact could these videos have in a real life sense? How could they affect the way people do things?
I think there's a couple things that AI generated content has the potential to do, and we've seen it do. So the first is just pure disinformation. It makes people believe something happened when it didn't. The other is erosion of trust. So if you feel the need to check every single video, does that mean you won't trust the videos that are real? Then I think you've got this aspect of rage bait / reaffirming, I guess, our own prejudices or thoughts that we already believe. So one thing that we're seeing here in the UK in particular is I've seen a lot of AI generated content around a lot of the protests that we've been happening. And so what you see is an LGBTQ protest, and every person that this AI street interviewer interviews is very stereotypical and kind of feeds into what maybe people want to hear about that community if it's not a community that they support. And then on the other side of things, when you've got the anti-immigration protests, you're seeing kind of those protesters depicted in a way that people who are against that would like to see. So I think there's a bit of a concern of this content feeding into our already existing prejudices.
So, it's really important people check their sources now more than ever, it seems. Jackie, it's been so good to have you come on again. Come back soon.
Thank you so much.
And that's it for today. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Ikra, and this is What in the World from the BBC World Service, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.